it's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank. And I mean, but with it being a exhibition, it makes sense.
Start like this. First of all, if you're a boxer and you're not taking note or notice of what Jake Paul is doing, you're worried about criticizing his boxing skills, then you're the fool.
Paul versus Tank Davis, they just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big.
As Jake Paul transitions from YouTuber to prize fighter, his looming clash with pound-for-pound star Gervonta Tank Davis has boxing legends buzzing. Davis enters with proven knockout power, blistering speed, and a resume stacked with elite opposition, while Paul counters with size, reach, and the allure of upsetting expectations. Many experts back Tank's precision and ring IQ to dominate, yet others argue Paul's physical tools and habit of shocking doubters could make this one of the year's most unpredictable battles.
You know what? Fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that, of course, he's going to win. And, of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the best man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The much-hyped showdown between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis is on the move. Originally planned for Atlanta, the fight has been rescheduled to November 14th at Miami's Casa Center. MVP confirmed the switch on X, declaring, "The war is no longer in Atlanta. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis is taking over Miami. Same date, same fight, new city. The bout will stream worldwide on Netflix." Though labeled an exhibition, the matchup has fueled heated debate over the drastic size disparity. Paul, a cruiserweight who recently weighed in at 199.4 pounds, will face Davis, who usually fights near 135 pounds. Due to the weight gap, Davis's WBA lightweight title will remain off the line.
Boxing fans are losing their minds over this Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight. And honestly, can you blame them? Why would Tank agree to this? I mean, look at the graphic. Jake is 6'1", 199 pounds with a 6'4" wingspan. Tank, 5'5", 133 pounds, a 5'7" wingspan. Tank fighting me would be a fairer matchup. We're basically the same size. And you wonder why fans think Jake's fights are rigged? Because every time we see some nonsense like this, it feels like WWE with boxing gloves. Here's the kicker though. Jake threatened to sue anyone who calls his fights rigged. Yeah, you know, the same guy who preaches freedom of speech now wants to ban opinions. After that clown show with Mike Tyson that left everyone scratching their heads. Maybe, and I'm just throwing it out there, if your own management company wasn't promoting and sponsoring your fights, fans might actually believe what they're watching. Until then, don't be mad that people are skeptical. Be mad that your boxing career looks more like a scripted reality TV show.
Major details still unconfirmed. The Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown remains clouded in uncertainty. Neither the contract weight, the number of rounds, nor whether it will be fought under full professional rules has been made official. This lack of clarity has fueled claims that the event leans more toward spectacle than sport, raising debates over fairness, fighter safety, and the integrity of boxing's long-standing weight class system.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're going to do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're going to spot us some pounds. Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Tank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
Terrence Crawford has cast doubt on the legitimacy of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown, highlighting the extreme size difference as the main concern. To him, it resembles more of a spectacle than a genuine contest closer to a sparring session dressed up as a fight, while he praises Davis as an elite, explosive talent with proven credentials. Crawford cautions that Paul's sheer size could pose real danger, with a single clean shot capable of changing everything. He also questioned whether the matchup will even follow full professional standards, arguing the weight gap makes it impossible to view the fight as a battle between equals.
Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over.
This case here, when you've got what is like a 70-pound difference between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Unbeaten star, Shocker Stevenson, widely seen as one of boxing's most technical talents, has dismissed the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul matchup as an unfair spectacle driven by size and balance. Still, Stevenson is confident that Davis's superior skill, speed, and ring IQ would make the fight completely one-sided. He predicts Tank would lean on movement, precision, and fundamentals over sheer power, likely coasting to a decision rather than hunting a knockout. While critical of the matchup as a gimmick that disrespects the sport, Stevenson remains certain Davis operates on a far higher level than Paul and would dominate with ease.
And I'm actually very happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way, you know.
So a heavyweight versus a lightweight.
Yeah.
You got a fly hit me, yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this going to work?
Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, you know, they know what they're doing. And, you know, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them, honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there and make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money.
Have you got a prediction for that fight?
My prediction? A show.
Well, clearly it's a show, but when you've got a lot of people underestimating Jake Paul once again, but when you've got a heavyweight boxer who knows how to throw punches and knows the basics against a lightweight, it's quite a difference. I mean, have you sparred heavyweights before?
Yeah.
For competitive sparring in the ring?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same, not at all. Definitely got to move. I've actually played around a few times, went through between their legs just to duck around. But yeah, because they're taller, you know. But I think for that competition, that fight, it reminds me a lot like The Big Show, and Floyd Mayweather when they fought in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And will that end the same way?
Possibly. Maybe some brass knuckles in there too.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens. You know, we expected Mike Tyson to do something, didn't go out that way. Jake Paul's training very hard, so, you know, kudos to both guys. I'm not going to critique them.
6. Daniel Cormier offered a measured perspective on the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul clash, praising Paul's willingness to step in with a fighter of Davis's caliber while questioning the fairness created by the size gap. He noted that Davis holds the clear edge in skill, experience, and pedigree, which makes Paul's challenge especially dangerous. Cormier also weighed the stakes. A loss could stall Paul's climb toward credibility, while a defeat for Davis against a much larger opponent could dent his legacy, though he stopped short of a firm prediction. Cormier leaned toward Davis on pure boxing ability, while admitting Paul's size makes the outcome less predictable.
They always told us that it was, we were looking at that fight for February of next year, and they always said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show. It's entertainment. It's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight. With, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, I understand the market, and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. However you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime, then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is? And